Captain Elara Vega stood at the helm of the GSS Horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula that stretched across the viewscreen. The vibrant colors of ionized gases painted a breathtaking tableau against the backdrop of endless space. It was moments like these that reminded her why she had joined the Galactic Alliance peacekeeping force. For centuries, the Alliance had maintained a delicate balance among the various species and civilizations that called the Milky Way their home. Diplomacy, cultural exchange, and mutual cooperation were the pillars upon which this interstellar society was built. And ships like the Horizon, with their diverse crews and cutting-edge technology, were the embodiment of that unity. Elara's reverie was interrupted by her first officer, Commander Zax, a towering Andorian with skin the color of Arctic ice. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Alliance Command," he reported, his antennae twitching with concern. "Put it through to my ready room," Elara replied, her brow furrowing. Priority transmissions were rare in times of peace. As the door to her ready room hissed shut behind her, Elara activated the secure holographic projector. The stern face of Admiral Thelena Kaur, a respected Trill leader, materialized before her. "Captain Vega, I'm afraid I have disturbing news," Admiral Kaur began without preamble. "The diplomatic mission to the Zeraxian Empire has gone dark. We've lost all contact with Ambassador Revan and his team." Elara felt a chill run down her spine. The Zeraxians were a relatively new addition to the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel only a few decades ago. Their rapid technological advancement and expansionist tendencies had been a source of concern for the Alliance, but diplomatic channels had always remained open. "What was the last known location of the mission, Admiral?" Elara asked, her mind already racing through possible scenarios. "Their last transmission came from the Zeraxian capital world, Ceres Prime," Admiral Kaur replied. "We need you to take the Horizon to investigate. Your ship is the closest to their territory, and quite frankly, Captain, we need your expertise in handling delicate situations." Elara nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We'll set course immediately, Admiral. What's our official stance?" "For now, this is a search and rescue operation," the Admiral said, her expression grave. "But be on high alert. If the Zeraxians have violated diplomatic protocols, this could escalate quickly. You have full discretion to act as you see fit, Captain. The Alliance is counting on you." As the transmission ended, Elara took a moment to collect her thoughts. She had a gnawing feeling in the pit of her stomach that this mission would be unlike any she had faced before. Returning to the bridge, Elara quickly briefed her senior staff on the situation. The crew of the Horizon was hand-picked, representing the best the Alliance had to offer. As she looked at their determined faces, she felt a surge of pride and resolve. "Set course for Ceres Prime, maximum warp," she ordered. "And let's hope we're not too late." The journey to Zeraxian space was tense, filled with speculation and preparation. Elara spent hours poring over reports on Zeraxian culture and politics, searching for any clue that might explain the diplomatic mission's disappearance. As they approached Ceres Prime, the Horizon's sensors detected an unusual amount of activity in the system. Zeraxian warships patrolled in tight formations, their sleek, predatory designs a stark contrast to the more utilitarian Alliance vessels. "Captain, we're being hailed," reported Lieutenant Vox, the ship's Vulcan communications officer. On screen, Elara commanded, straightening her uniform. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the face of a Zeraxian official. His scaled skin shimmered with an iridescent sheen, and his yellow eyes regarded Elara with cold calculation. "I am Sub-Commander Vex of the Zeraxian Defense Force," he announced. "State your purpose for entering our sovereign territory." Elara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "I am Captain Elara Vega of the Galactic Alliance ship Horizon. We're here to inquire about the status of our diplomatic mission led by Ambassador Revan. We've lost contact with them and are concerned for their safety." Vex's expression remained impassive. I'm afraid I have no information regarding your missing diplomats, Captain. Perhaps they chose to terminate their mission early and encountered difficulties on their return journey. The carefully chosen words and the slight pause sent warning bells ringing in Ilara's mind. Something was very wrong here. Sub-Commander, we have confirmation that the mission's last transmission came from Ceres Prime, Ilara pressed. Surely your government must have some record of their activities or departure. Vex's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. I will consult with my superiors and return shortly with any relevant information. In the meantime, please maintain your current position. Any attempt to approach Ceres Prime will be considered an act of aggression. Vex out. As the transmission cut off, Ilara turned to her crew. Opinions. Commander Zax was the first to speak. They're hiding something, Captain. The increased military presence, the evasive responses. I don't like it. Agreed, Ilara said. Tactical, scan the system. Look for any signs of our missing ship or escape pods. Communications, monitor all frequencies for any distress signals. And Helm, be ready to move at a moment's notice. I have a feeling things are about to get complicated. Hours passed with no word from the Xeraxians. The tension on the bridge was palpable as each crew member focused intently on their tasks. Suddenly, Lieutenant Vox's console lit up. Captain, I'm picking up a weak transmission on an encrypted Alliance frequency, he reported, his fingers flying over the controls. It's heavily degraded, but I believe it's from the diplomatic mission. Ilara's heart raced. Can you clean it up? After a few moments of adjustment, a garbled voice filled the bridge, punctuated by static. Under attack, Xeraxians, bioweapon. Alliance must be warned. The message cut off abruptly, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. Triangulate that signal, Ilara ordered, her voice tight with urgency. Captain, her tactical officer, Lieutenant Kira, a young Betasoid, called out. I'm detecting weapons fire near the third moon of Ceres Prime. There's a small ship trying to evade Xeraxian pursuers. Ilara didn't hesitate. Red alert. Helm, set an intercept course. Tactical, ready weapons and shields. We're going in. The horizon surged forward, its powerful engines propelling it toward the conflict. As they drew closer, they could see a small Alliance shuttle weaving desperately between asteroids, pursued by 3 Xeraxian fighters. Hail the Xeraxian ships, Ilara commanded. Before they could establish communication, the lead Xeraxian fighter opened fire on the shuttle. A direct hit sent it spiraling out of control. Tractor beam, Ilara shouted. Get that shuttle into our bay now. Tactical, target those fighters. Warning shots only. The Horizon's weapons flared to life, lancing out precise bursts that forced the Xeraxian ships to break off their attack. As the tractor beam locked onto the damaged shuttle, pulling it to safety, a flotilla of larger Xeraxian warships emerged from behind the moon. Sub-Commander Vex's face appeared on the view screen once more, his composure now replaced by barely contained fury. You've violated our sovereign territory and interfered in internal Xeraxian affairs. This is an act of war, Captain Vega. Prepare to be boarded and your crew imprisoned. Ilara stood tall, her voice unwavering. We responded to a distress call from our citizens, Sub-Commander. Your unprovoked attack on a diplomatic vessel is the true act of aggression here. Stand down your forces immediately, or we will be forced to defend ourselves. As if to emphasize her point, more Alliance ships dropped out of warp around the horizon, responding to its distress call. The tables had turned. Vex snarled, revealing sharp, predatory teeth. This isn't over-human. The Xeraxian Empire will not bow to your Alliance's weakling ideals. We will have our day of reckoning. The transmission cut off abruptly. In the tense standoff that followed, Ilara received word from the medical bay. The lone survivor from the shuttle was stable, but barely clinging to life. It was Ambassador Revan's aide, Lyra Dex. Ilara rushed to sickbay, her mind reeling from the implications of what had just transpired. As she entered, she saw Lyra connected to various life support systems, her skin pale and mottled with a strange, iridescent rash. Dr. Salin, the ship's Saurian chief medical officer, approached Ilara with a grave expression. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, leading her to a microscope. Peering through the lens, Ilara gasped. The blood sample writhed with microscopic organisms that seemed to be rewriting the very structure of the cells they inhabited. "It's some kind of engineered pathogen," Dr. Salin explained. "Unlike anything I've ever seen. It's breaking down her DNA and replacing it with something else. I've managed to slow its progress, but I can't stop it." Lyra stirred, her eyes fluttering open. Ilara moved to the side, grasping her hand gently. "Lyra, can you hear me? What happened?" The aide's voice was weak, but her words chilled Ilara to the bone. "They killed them all, experimenting, creating weapons to reshape the galaxy in their image. The Empire, they're coming for everyone." With those final, ominous words, Lyra's body convulsed and the monitors flatlined. Dr. Salin rushed to intervene, but it was too late. Before their eyes, Lyra's body began to transform, her skin hardening into scales, her fingers elongating into claws. Ilara stumbled back, horror and realization dawning on her face. This wasn't just an act of aggression. This was the beginning of something far worse. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Ilara's comm badge chirped. "Captain to the bridge immediately." Racing back to her post, Ilara found her crew staring in shock at the main view screen. A massive Xeraxian fleet was emerging from slip space, dwarfing both the horizon and its Alliance reinforcements. At that moment, every comm channel erupted with urgent transmissions. Reports flooded in from across Alliance space of simultaneous Xeraxian attacks on multiple fronts. Colonies were being bombarded, outposts overwhelmed, and there were terrifying accounts of a strange plague spreading among the populations. The Xeraxian Empire had launched a full-scale invasion of Alliance space. As Ilara processed the flood of information, a priority transmission cut through the chaos. It was Admiral Kor, her face ashen with shock and determination. "Captain Vega, you've witnessed firsthand the true face of the Xeraxian threat. The Alliance Council has made its decision. As of this moment, we are at war. You are hereby ordered to fall back to Alliance space and rendezvous with the main fleet. We're mobilizing everything we have." Ilara nodded grimly, her jaw set with resolve. "Understood, Admiral. We'll be there." As the transmission ended, Ilara turned to her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination and trust. They were looking to her for leadership in this dark hour. "You've all heard the news," she began, her voice steady and clear. "The peace we've known, the ideals we've upheld, are under threat. The Xeraxian Empire has chosen the path of war and subjugation, but we will not falter. We will not let fear or despair weaken our resolve." She paused, making eye contact with each member of her bridge crew. "The road ahead will be difficult, and we will face challenges unlike any we've encountered before. But remember this, we are the Galactic Alliance. Our strength lies not in weapons or territory, but in our unity, our diversity, and our unwavering commitment to freedom and justice for all sentient beings. Each of you represents the best of your worlds, the pinnacle of what our united galaxy can achieve, and together we will weather this storm. We will fight not just for our own survival, but for the very soul of our alliance and the future of the galaxy itself." Ilara's words seemed to ignite a fire in her crew. Backs straightened, eyes hardened with determination, and a palpable sense of purpose filled the bridge. "Helm, set course for Alliance HQ, maximum warp," Ilara ordered. "Communications, relay all the intelligence we've gathered to Alliance Command. Tactical, I want constant scans for any Xeraxian activity." As the horizon leaped into warp, leaving the chaos of Thesaurus Prime behind, Ilara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The galaxy as they knew it had changed forever, and the echoes of this day would resonate across the stars for generations to come. The war for the future of the galaxy had begun, and Captain Ilara Vega and the crew of the Horizon would be at the forefront of humanity's greatest challenge. The vast shipyards of Olympus Station hummed with frenetic activity. Massive construction drones swarmed around skeletal frames of warships, their plasma welders creating a dazzling light show against the backdrop of stars. It had been 6 months since the Zeraxian Empire launched their devastating first strike, and the Galactic Alliance was finally ready to hit back. Captain Ilara Vega stood at the observation deck, watching as her beloved Horizon underwent its final upgrades. The ship that had once been a symbol of peace and exploration was now being refitted for war, its sleek lines bristling with new weapon systems and reinforced armor plating. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" A gruff voice spoke from behind her. Ilara turned to see Admiral Kor approaching, the Trill's usually immaculate uniform showing signs of strain from endless strategy sessions and sleepless nights. "Admiral," Ilara nodded respectfully. "I didn't expect to see you here personally." Kor's face was grim as she gazed out at the bustling shipyards. "These may be the ships that decide the fate of our civilization, Captain. I needed to see them with my own eyes." A moment of heavy silence passed between them, broken only by the muffled sounds of construction filtering through the station's hull. "Walk with me," Kor said suddenly, gesturing towards a more secluded area of the deck. As they moved away from prying ears, the Admiral's voice lowered. "What I'm about to tell you is known only to a handful of individuals in the entire Alliance. We've managed to keep it out of our general communications to prevent any chance of Zeraxian interception." Ilara's curiosity was piqued. "I'm listening, Admiral." "We formed a new covert operations unit," Kor explained. "The best of the best from every member world of the Alliance. We're calling it Shadow Unit. Their mission is to operate behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence and sabotaging key Zeraxian installations." "That's a risky move," Ilara observed. "If they're captured, the Zeraxians could use it as propaganda to paint us as underhanded aggressors." Kor's eyes hardened. "We're well past the point of worrying about optics, Captain. The Zeraxians have already used biological weapons on civilian populations. They've made their intentions clear: total domination or extinction for anyone who opposes them." Ilara nodded grimly, memories of the transformed body of Loradex flashing through her mind. "What does this have to do with the Horizon, Admiral?" "Your ship will be the tip of the spear, Ilara," Kor said, using the captain's first name for the first time. "You faced the Zeraxians firsthand. You understand the threat better than most. We need you to lead the first major offensive into their territory." Ilara's mind raced with the implications. A full-scale invasion? "Not exactly," Kor clarified. "More of a surgical strike. We've identified a key Zeraxian supply hub in the Tartarus sector. Taking it out will cripple their ability to push further into our space. But here's the catch. We need you to get Shadow Unit close enough to infiltrate the facility before the main attack begins." It was an audacious plan, fraught with danger. But Ilara understood the necessity. The Alliance needed a win, something to rally around after months of retreats and defensive actions. "When do we leave?" she asked, her voice filled with determination. Kor allowed herself a small smile. "That's what I hoped you'd say. You depart in 48 hours. I'll have all the relevant intel and mission parameters sent to your secure terminal. And Captain, good hunting." As the Admiral walked away, Ilara's comm badge chirped. "Bridge to Captain Vega. We've just received word that the final upgrades are complete. The Horizon is ready for your inspection." "Acknowledged," Ilara replied. "I'm on my way." The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparations, briefings, and last-minute adjustments. Ilara had just enough time to record a brief message for her family back on Earth before it was time to depart. As she stepped onto the bridge of the Horizon, she was struck by how different it felt. Gone were the science stations and diplomatic consoles, replaced by tactical displays and weapon control systems. Her core crew remained largely intact, a small comfort in these turbulent times. Commander Zax stood at attention, his antennae twitching with anticipation. Lieutenant Kira manned the tactical station, her betazoid empathy providing an extra edge in combat situations. Dr. Salin had insisted on staying aboard, determined to find a cure for the Zeraxian bioweapon. New faces included Lieutenant Commander Rix, a grizzled Tellarite veteran who now served as Chief of Security, and Ensign Tilara, a young Vulcan prodigy who had revolutionized the ship's sensor systems. Captain on the bridge, Zax announced as Ilara took her seat in the command chair. Status report, she ordered, her voice calm and authoritative. All systems are green, Captain, Zax replied. Engineering reports the new warp core is operating at 110% efficiency. Weapons and shields are fully operational. Ilara nodded, a sense of pride welling up inside her. Her ship and crew were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Very well. Helm, set course for the rendezvous point in the Tartarus sector. Maximum warp. As the horizon streaked away from Olympus Station, Ilara couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They were about to embark on the most crucial mission of their lives, with the fate of the entire Alliance hanging in the balance. The journey to the Tartarus sector was tense but uneventful. Ilara used the time to study the mission briefings and familiarize herself with the members of Shadow Unit. Led by the enigmatic Major Talon Sark, a Caitian known for his unorthodox tactics and near-legendary stealth abilities, the team was a diverse group of specialists from across the Alliance. As they approached the rendezvous point, Ilara called her senior staff to the briefing room. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing detailed scans of the Zeraxian supply hub. Our primary objective is to get Shadow Unit inside this facility, Ilara explained, highlighting a seemingly innocuous section of the base. Intelligence suggests this is where they're coordinating their supply lines for the entire sector. If we can disrupt it, we'll deal a significant blow to their war effort. Commander Zax studied the schematics with a critical eye. The defenses look formidable, Captain. How are we supposed to get them inside undetected? A slow smile spread across Ilara's face. That's where things get interesting, Commander. We're going to let them capture us. The plan was audacious and risky. The horizon would allow itself to be discovered by Zeraxian patrols, feigning damage and surrender. Once brought into the supply hub's docking bay for processing, Shadow Unit would make their move, slipping away in the confusion to infiltrate the base's systems. It's insane, Lieutenant Commander Rix grumbled, but it just might work. As the briefing concluded, Ilara's comm badge chirped. Bridge to Captain. We're picking up a Zeraxian patrol on long-range sensors. Perfect timing, Ilara said, her eyes gleaming with determination. Battle stations, everyone. Let's go spring our trap. The next few hours were a masterclass in deception. The horizon limped into Zeraxian space, its warp core emitting false radiation signatures to simulate battle damage. When the patrol ships finally intercepted them, Ilara played the part of a desperate captain perfectly, pleading for mercy and offering to surrender valuable Alliance intelligence in exchange for the lives of her crew. The Zeraxians took the bait. As the horizon was tractored into the massive supply hub, Ilara could feel the tension radiating from her crew. Everything hinged on the next few moments. The instant they cleared the atmospheric force field of the docking bay, all hell broke loose. Shadow Unit sprang into action, using personal cloaking devices to slip away unnoticed in the chaos of the prisoner transfer. Simultaneously, the Horizon systems came back online at full power, catching the Zeraxians completely off guard. Now, Mr. Rix, Ilara commanded. The Tellarite's hands flew over his console, and suddenly the docking bay was plunged into darkness as an electromagnetic pulse disabled the Zeraxian systems. In the confusion, Ilara and a small strike team disembarked, providing additional support for Shadow Unit's infiltration. As they fought their way deeper into the facility, Ilara couldn't help but be impressed by Major Sark and his team. They moved like ghosts, neutralizing Zeraxian security with ruthless efficiency. But it wasn't long before the element of surprise wore off, and they found themselves in a desperate firefight. "Captain," Sark's voice crackled over the comm, "we've reached the main control room, but we're pinned down. We need cover to complete the upload of the virus." Ilara assessed the situation quickly. "Understood, Major. We'll draw their fire. Just get that virus uploaded." What followed was the most intense combat Ilara had ever experienced. Her team held the line against wave after wave of Zeraxian soldiers, their energy weapons leaving scorch marks on the metallic walls. The air was thick with the acrid smell of ozone and burning circuitry. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, Sark's voice came through again. "Upload complete. The virus is spreading through their systems. We need to get out of here now." As they fought their way back to the horizon, the effects of Shadow Unit's work became apparent. Alarms blared throughout the facility, and Zeraxian soldiers seemed confused and disorganized as their communications and targeting systems failed. Once safely back aboard, Ilara wasted no time. "Helm, get us out of here. Full impulse until we clear the defensive perimeter, then maximum warp." The Horizon rocketed away from the supply hub, weaving through the chaos of disabled Zeraxian ships. As they jumped to warp, the sensors picked up a cascade of explosions rippling through the facility. The mission was a success. In the aftermath, as the adrenaline wore off, Ilara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection in her ready room. The cost had been high. They had lost good people in the assault. But the intelligence gained and the disruption to Zeraxian operations would save countless lives in the long run. Her contemplation was interrupted by a priority transmission from Admiral Kor. The Trill's face appeared on the screen, a mix of relief and renewed determination in her eyes. "Congratulations, Captain," Kor said. "The Tartarus operation was a resounding success. You've given the Alliance something it desperately needed: hope." Ilara nodded solemnly. "Thank you, Admiral. But I sense there's more." Kor's expression turned grave. "Indeed there is. The data Shadow Unit recovered has revealed something troubling. The Zeraxians are working on a superweapon, something that could turn the tide of the war in an instant." A chill ran down Ilara's spine. "What kind of superweapon?" "We're not entirely sure," Kor admitted. "But from what we can gather, it's some kind of massive energy projector, theoretically capable of destroying entire star systems from across the galaxy." The implications were staggering. Such a weapon would make the Zeraxians unstoppable. "What are our orders?" Ilara asked, already knowing the answer. "You've proven yourself and your crew," Captain Kor said. "I'm authorizing a deep strike into Zeraxian space. Find that weapon and destroy it by any means necessary." As the transmission ended, Ilara steeled herself for the challenges ahead. They had won an important victory, but the true test was yet to come. The fate of the galaxy would be decided in the crucible of the battles to come. With renewed determination, Captain Ilara Vega stepped back onto the bridge of the Horizon. Her crew looked to her, awaiting orders that would take them into the heart of enemy territory. "Plot a course for the Zeraxian core worlds," she commanded, her voice unwavering. "It's time to take the fight to them." As the Horizon's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards their greatest challenge yet, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of destiny. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that her crew, her family, would face it together. The battle for the future of the galaxy was entering its most critical phase, and Captain Ilara Vega was determined to see it through to the end. The void of space rippled as the GSS Horizon dropped out of warp on the fringes of the Zeraxian home system. Captain Ilara Vega stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The system's blood-red sun cast an ominous glow on the dozens of Zeraxian warships that stood between them and their target. a massive space station unlike anything they had ever encountered. "Magnify," Ilara ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. The image zoomed in, revealing a structure that defied conventional design. It was a twisted amalgamation of metal and crystal, pulsing with an otherworldly energy that made the senses fluctuate wildly. "That's it," Commander Zack said, his antennae twitching nervously. "The superweapon." Ilara nodded grimly. Their mission to infiltrate Zaraxian space and locate the weapon had cost them dearly. They had lost good ships and better people along the way. But now they had found their target, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. "Status report," Ilara commanded, forcing calm into her voice. Lieutenant Kira's fingers danced over her tactical console. "The Zaraxians haven't detected us yet, Captain. Our new stealth systems are holding." "Good," Ilara replied. "We'll need every advantage we can get. What about our backup?" As if on cue, space behind them shimmered as a small fleet of Alliance ships declerked. At their center was the massive form of the GSS Avalon, Admiral Corps' flagship. "The Alliance fleet is in position, Captain," reported Ensign Tilara from the communications station. "Admiral Corps is hailing us." On screen, Ilara ordered. Admiral Corps' face appeared, her eyes burning with determination. "Captain Vega, I hope you're ready to make history. Our intel suggests the Zaraxians are preparing to test their superweapon. We can't let that happen." Ilara nodded. "Understood, Admiral. What's the plan?" "Your mission remains unchanged," Corps explained. "Get Shadow Unit aboard that station and shut it down from the inside. The fleet will engage the Zaraxian forces to create a diversion." It was a desperate gambit, but they were out of options. If the Zaraxians managed to bring their superweapon online, the war would be over before it truly began. "We won't let you down, Admiral," Ilara promised. As the transmission ended, Ilara turned to her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also unwavering resolve. They had come too far to falter now. "You all know what's at stake," she began, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Everything we've fought for, everything we believe in, it all comes down to this moment. I won't lie to you, the odds are against us. But I've seen what this crew can do when pushed to the limit. You are the finest officers in the Alliance, and there's no one else I'd rather have by my side." She paused, making eye contact with each member of her bridge crew. "Whatever happens today, it has been my greatest honor to serve with you. Now, let's go make the Zaraxians regret the day they ever heard of the Galactic Alliance." A chorus of determined "Aye, Captain" responses filled the bridge. Ilara took her seat in the command chair, a sense of calm settling over her. "Helm, take us in. Full impulse. Tactical, ready all weapons. And may the stars be with us all." The horizon surged forward, leading the charge towards the Zaraxian defensive line. For a moment, all was silent. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, space itself seemed to erupt in chaos. Energy beams and torpedo salvos crisscrossed the void as the two fleets collided. The horizon weaved through the maelstrom, its advanced maneuverability allowing it to dance between Zaraxian ships with almost impossible grace. "Shadow Unit is ready for deployment," Lieutenant Commander Rix reported from his security station. Ilara nodded. "Take us in closer to that station. We need to find a weak point in their defenses." As they approached, the true scale of the superweapon became apparent. It dwarfed even the largest ships in either fleet, its crystalline spires seeming to drink in the light of the nearby sun. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Captain," Kira shouted, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup within the station. I think they're powering up the weapon." Ilara's blood ran cold. They were out of time. "Rix, get Shadow Unit launched now. We'll have to make our own opening." What followed was the most intense space battle Ilara had ever experienced. The horizon unleashed everything it had, concentrating fire on a single point of the station's defenses. Zaraxian ships swarmed them, but the rest of the Alliance fleet ran interference, buying them precious seconds. Shields down to 40%, Kira reported as the ship shuddered under another barrage. "Keep at it," Ilara ordered. "We just need a few more seconds." Just when it seemed their assault would fail, a section of the station's shielding flickered and died. "There's our opening. Launch Shadow Unit, now." A sleek, black shuttle shot out from the Horizon's launch bay, streaking towards the gap in the station's defenses. Ilara held her breath as it disappeared inside, knowing that the fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of Major Sark and his team. "All ships, fall back and regroup," Ilara commanded. "We need to buy Shadow Unit as much time as we can." The battle raged on, with losses mounting on both sides. The Alliance fleet fought with desperate courage, but the Zeraxians seemed to have an endless supply of ships. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, Ensign Tilara's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission from inside the station. It's Major Sark." "Put him through," Ilara ordered, hope rising in her chest. Sark's voice was strained, punctuated by the sound of weapons fire. "Captain Vega, we've reached the main control center, but we're encountering heavy resistance. We need more time." Ilara's mind raced. They were running out of options. Then, a desperate plan formed in her mind. "Understood, Major. We'll buy you that time. Just get that weapon offline." She turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with determination. "Helm, set a collision course for the station's main power core. Tactical, divert all power to forward shields." Commander Zack's eyes widened in realization. "Captain, you can't be serious. The Horizon won't survive that impact." "We don't have a choice," Ilara replied grimly. "If that weapon fires, we're all dead anyway. Prepare to abandon ship. I'll stay behind to ensure we hit our target." For a moment, it looked like her crew might refuse. Then, with heavy hearts, they began to carry out her orders. Escape pods jettisoned from the Horizon as it accelerated towards the massive station. Ilara sat alone on the bridge, her hands gripping the armrests of her chair as the superweapon loomed larger in the viewscreen. "Come on, Sark," she whispered. "Don't let this be for nothing." Just as the Horizon was about to impact, the station's crystalline spires suddenly went dark. A series of explosions rippled across its surface, and the ominous energy signature that had been building began to dissipate. "They did it," Ilara breathed, a smile of relief spreading across her face. But there was no time to celebrate. The Horizon was still on a collision course, and there were only seconds left before impact. Ilara's fingers flew over the controls, desperately trying to alter their trajectory. The ship groaned and shuddered as it skimmed the station's surface, scraping against twisted metal and crystal. Ilara was thrown from her chair as the inertial dampeners failed, her world becoming a blur of pain and chaos. When she regained consciousness, the bridge was dark, lit only by the emergency lights and sparking consoles. The viewscreen was cracked but still functional, showing the battle raging outside. The Zeraxian fleet was in disarray, their command structure thrown into chaos by the loss of their superweapon. As Ilara struggled to her feet, a familiar voice came through the damaged communications system. "Captain Vega, do you read me? This is Admiral Core. Please respond." Ilara limped to the nearest working console. "This is Vega. I read you, Admiral. Status report." She could hear the relief in Core's voice. "The Zeraxians are in full retreat, Captain. Shadow Unit successfully destroyed the weapons control systems and uploaded a virus that's spreading through their entire network. We've won." The words took a moment to sink in. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved the galaxy. In the days that followed, the full scope of their victory became clear. With their superweapon destroyed and their military command structure in shambles, the Zeraxian Empire sued for peace. The terms were harsh but fair, ensuring they would never again pose a threat to galactic stability. As for Captain Ilara Vega and the crew of the Horizon, they were hailed as heroes throughout the Alliance. Their actions had not only ended the war, but had ushered in a new era of cooperation between the various species of the galaxy. Standing on the observation deck of the newly rebuilt Olympus station, Ilara gazed out at the stars. The horizon, battered but unbroken, was docked nearby, undergoing repairs. Soon they would head out again, this time on a mission of peace and exploration. Admiral Core joined her, a hint of a smile on her usually stern face. "You should be proud, Captain. Your actions will be remembered for generations to come." Ilara nodded, her eyes still fixed on the vast expanse of space. "We all did our part, Admiral, but our work isn't finished. There's still so much out there to discover, so many bridges to build between cultures." Core placed a hand on her shoulder, "And I can think of no one better to lead that charge. The Horizon's next mission is up to you, Captain. Where will you take us?" A slow smile spread across Ilara's face as she contemplated the infinite possibilities that lay before them. The war was over, but their greatest adventures were just beginning. "Everywhere," she said simply. "We'll go everywhere." As they stood there, watching ships from a dozen different species working together to rebuild and expand the station, Ilara felt a profound sense of hope. The galaxy had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger for it. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that united, they could face anything. The stars beckoned, full of mystery and promise, and the horizon, with Captain Ilara Vega at its helm, would be there to answer their call.